Hello and welcome to Matt's Casual Cooking. Today we are going to be making gigantic steak and cheese hot pockets. Very fun and tasty recipe that you can make for any time of year, but really good around the summer months. So we're going to go over all the ingredients and how to put it together, and let's get to it. Alright folks, so before we go over the ingredients today, earlier this week, we hit 1,000 subscribers, and I want to thank everyone who has subscribed for coming along every week on this fun food journey with me. And if you're not subscribed, please do. Really enjoy it when you watch these videos and get something very tasty out of it. So for your crust today, you're going to need 3 cups of all-purpose flour. You're going to need half a cup of sugar. You're going to need 3 teaspoons of oil. And you can use any kind of cooking oil you want. I'm using vegetable oil today for this. Now you can certainly use like a canola or olive, but it's going to be up to you. Now you're also going to need 1 packet of active dry yeast, and we're going to want to proof that. Now if you've never proofed before, you're going to need 1 cup of water between 100 and 110 degrees. And you're also going to need just 1 teaspoon of sugar. Now for your filling, what you're going to need is 1 small onion and 2 to 3 bell peppers, and you're going to want to dice those. You're also going to need shredded mozzarella cheese. I'm not going to necessarily tell you how much because that is up to you how much you want to put on the meat, on the filling. Now for the meat, you're going to need about 1 to 1.5 pounds of like a shaved sirloin or shaved rib meat. Now I'm using shaved rib meat today. And what I did last night is I salt and peppered the steak, and I put some oil on top of it. Now this is, and then I covered it and put it in the refrigerator for overnight. Now this is to help impart some extra flavor into the meat itself. You don't have to do this step, but if you want to and you forget to do it the night before, you can do it about a half an hour to an hour before you cook the meat, and that will just be just as good. So we're going to go over how to put everything together here in a minute, and I will see you then. Alright folks, so right now I've got the flour and the sugar combined, and what you want to do is you just want to create a little well here in the middle. Now for the yeast, you can see right here I've got quite a bit of foam sitting on top of the water. And that's really what you're looking for. If you don't really have any foam, it means your yeast hasn't been activated and you're going to have to do it again. So what we are going to do with this, though, is go ahead and dump it in the middle. Make sure you get as much as you can. And we're just going to combine it together. Now, if you don't think it's kind of wet enough to combine, what I do suggest is just adding about a 1/4 cup of water to make sure it all sticks together. But you probably won't need it, but if you think you do, go ahead and add in just a little bit more and you will be fine. So you can kind of see it's not really sticking together, but that's okay, but the majority of it is. So I'm probably not going to add any water to this for the time being, or if you actually think you need to add some extra flour, but we're going to need this, so I'm not too worried about it right now. Now what you are going to do, since it's combined, go ahead and add your cooking oil to this, and then we're going to, I'll move on to the next step. Alright folks, so you can see the oil did actually kind of bring it together a little bit as well. So all we're going to do now is we're going to cover this with a terry cloth, and we're going to set it into a warm spot for an hour or until it has doubled in size. So go ahead and do that, and we're actually going to go over the filling here in just a minute, so I will see you then. Alright folks, so what I did initially is what you want to do is get your pan out, and you want to let it heat up, and once you feel that it's hot enough, go ahead and add your meat to it. Now be careful, because it is going to be hot initially, so it's going to sizzle. So go ahead and just cook your meat. This shouldn't take too long to brown because the pieces are very thin. So overall, this shouldn't take all that long. Now once you've done that, go ahead and add your onions and bell peppers and just kind of cook them a couple minutes until the onions start to become translucent. And then for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in a bowl and wrap it with aluminum foil. Now you don't have to cook it as soon as the dough has started to rise. You can do this after we roll it out and we create the Hot Pockets themselves. So just kind of do what you want to do, and then once that's done, I'll see you at the bread when it's done. So see you then. Alright folks, so it's been about an hour and our dough has definitely doubled in size. So what you want to do now is you can see I've got it here on nice floured surface, and I put a little bit of the flour on top. So what we just want to do is we just want to go ahead and knead it until it really just sticks together. We don't necessarily need to make it stiff. We kind of want to keep it kind of loose because we're going to have to cut it in half and, you know, put it over the top of the bottom. So what you want to do is, like I said, just go ahead and knead it until it is nice and combined and just kind of still kind of elastic, not really too stiff. And then what you want to do is just get out something to cut it with, like a knife or a bread cutter or dough cutter. And then what you also want to get out is a rolling pin and a fork. So I will see you in a minute. Alright folks, so I went ahead and I already rolled out the other half of this dough. But what we're looking for is you want to roll it into about a 12 by 10 inch rectangle for this. And if it's not an exact rectangle, we can always cut it off and kind of really just make it what we need to be. We don't necessarily want like a lot of extra kind of dough for this. So go ahead and do that. And once we get to the next portion, I will show you what we need to do. So I will see you then. Alright folks, so we're done here. It's pretty well where I want it. So what you want to do is just take your knife or your dough cutter, and we're just going to cut it into fourths. That's really all we're going to do. Now what we are going to do from here, so if this is your bottom, what you want to do is you want to get out a baking sheet and line it with either, like, I would say parchment paper or like a silicone mat for it. And then we're going to move on to actually putting everything together. So I will see you in a minute. Alright folks, so you can see I've got my 4 sitting out here. I already went ahead and did one. I got my tops for these over here. I got my meat over here. And also what you want to do, now this is optional, but you can, for the topping, is you want to get out 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter, and you want to use 1 teaspoon of garlic powder and 1 clove of minced garlic in it. So all we're going to do is take your meat mixture and you just want to put in some in the middle. You don't want to necessarily get too crazy. And then what you want to do now is go ahead and take your mozzarella cheese, and we're just going to add in a little bit on the top here. It's okay if you got some just kind of moving about. Put as much or as little as you want. It's just going to melt in there. So then go ahead and take one of your tops. If you kind of need to move it, spread it out a little bit by hand. It's not quite the same distance as, or width as, or length as the one on the bottom. That's fine. Just make sure that it's covered. And what you want to do is take your fork and just want to kind of press down on the two. So this will help hold it together. Just going to do that. All right, so then all we're going to do now, if you want to do this step, but it is advised because it is pretty tasty, head and some butter and some of that garlic on top as well, and just create a nice layer of butter on top of it. So go ahead and finish up. And then what we're going to do is we'll go over how to cook them. So I will see you then. All right, folks. So what you want to do now is you want to turn your ovens to 375 degrees. And what we're going to do is we're going to cook it for about 7 to 10 minutes or until the top is nice and golden brown. So go ahead and do that, and I will see you at the end. Alright folks, so you can see we are done, and you can see the dough is kind of nice and fluffy, and it's just going to give it a really good taste when you bite into it. Now this is really good really for any time of year, taking on a camping trip or just a hike or just eating around the house. If you did enjoy making this recipe today, like, subscribe, share, please leave a comment below. Would like to know what you think about this. So please come back next week for another fun food journey with me. And I want to thank you for watching and see you then.